Harry, what are your thoughts after that?
Well, I thought it was always going to be hostile. The Ibrox is a hard place to go, and I thought when the draw came out, Galatasaray and Rangers were going to be the hardest two games we were going to have. So, before the game, I would have taken a point, and without our first two choice centre backs, it was always going to be tough. I think Gray grew into the game quite well as we went on, and Bergvall looks to be developing in confidence as well. But I think I'll take a point, considering the offside goal at the end as well. So.
Yeah. So how have you been feeling in general about Ange Postecoglou at the moment? Obviously, there seems to be a big split. Social media, of course, is always going to be divisive. But there does seem to be, certainly even in the comments here, a big split of people who are like, there's no point sacking Ange Postecoglou. It's not about Ange Postecoglou. And then some people who are like, he's clueless. He's out of his depth. Yeah. How do you feel about it, Harry?
I've always been quite defensive over Ange, to be honest. I've always wanted to back him, and I think the main point I always go to whenever I'm having a debate with friends, family, other accounts, Spurs related, I always go back to the point of, we saw Arteta come in at Arsenal, and I think in his second season he was coming 8th, 7th, 6th.
Yeah,
in Ange's first season with about 3 months of injuries, we got 5th. We got Europa League, and I truly believe if that Chelsea game hadn't happened, we hadn't crumbled, we could have gone. We could have gone on for a top 3 finish. I genuinely do think so. But I also think that this season it's going to be tough, and we are in the bottom half. But it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. I think Arteta's been there for 4 or 5 years now. He took over in lockdown, didn't he? So. We've had Ange for not even 2 years yet, so I'm fully backing Ange. I mean, I know there are some people out there saying that he hasn't got a plan B, but like he said in numerous press conferences, when we play our football, we are hard to stop, and that's the main point I'll stand by.
I like that positivity, Harry. I do want to bring one thing up though, just playing devil's advocate, is the training regime and the injuries that we get. I think when you look at Arsenal, and it's horrible to look down the road at Woolwich Arsenal, but I have to.
Yeah,
they don't get any injuries. And look, they do play 6 centre backs sometimes, and and they score most of their goals from set pieces. So listen, when we saw how much they struggled when Ødegaard was out, but they clearly don't have a training regime that is as relentless as we do. And is there, in the end, I just wonder, is Ange Postecoglou going to fall at Spurs because of his stubbornness in terms of making these players endlessly push so hard?
Yeah, he might do. That is a point that, that's a contrasting view I've always had. And I think with Arteta, I think he's got, plan A, B, and C. So when A goes wrong and B goes wrong, he's always got plan C, maybe even D to fall back on.
Plan C stands for corners, I think.
Yeah, and D's defensive work. So he's always got numerous plans to fall back on. And the main point with Arsenal was their set pieces are brilliant. When we played them in September, and we obviously lost 1-0. That corner that we scored from, I said this will go in, or we're going to struggle because we can't defend them. And it's all well and good and saying that's just who we are, mate. But quite frankly, he says as long as I'll be here, we don't need a set piece coach. But we've seen time and time again we need a set piece coach, and nothing will change if you don't get one. So the stubbornness and almost arrogance, it does great on Spurs fans. We need a set piece coach, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I just want to say a bit more than that, though, because I think the kind of almost like the set piece coach, especially at Arsenal, is almost like performative. Do you know what? It's almost like, oh, this is my job. I'm going to stand in front of Arteta when we get a corner. Yeah. And I have to say, as much as I hate it, and I'm going to hate it because I'm a Spurs fan, I also think actually that probably gives the players a bit of a like, oh, we believe in this, like we've got a real chance, and also makes the opposition players be like, oh God, it's going to be one of Arsenal's amazing set pieces. So that is something where I kind of could agree with you. Maybe that could come in, but also I think what Tottenham need is bigger dudes. Like, I'm sorry, but we're just not a big side. Other than Dragoshin, certainly tonight, really. Bentancur's kind of big. Sarr is tall but not aggressive. What Man City have done in their heyday, obviously not as well this season, and Arsenal doing, is they got players who are technically proficient, but also big, muscular, hard players to get off the ball and aggressive players. And maybe that's something that Ange needs to really look at as well.
Yeah, he can. I don't think we should build a squad just around, physicality and height. But with corners,
needs a mix, though, doesn't it? Needs a mix.
He needs a mix, yes. But we saw against Sheffield United last year on the last day of the season. I think that was one of the last games of the season. It was the last game of the season where Dragoshin came in and he started, and we saw him defend Vicario from those set pieces. And we've been saying, why can't this be echoed for the start of this season? And it hasn't. Against Leicester, the first game of the season, we saw the same, weakness from set pieces. Arguably a bit of height could be, it could be helpful in there, but we can't build a squad just around physicality, because then, we haven't got any of the smaller players, like Odeberg, or on his day, Werner. And I say on his day, I mean, literally quite only when he's on the left cutting in. But we need some, we need some explosive players as well. And I know Werner had a pretty poor game tonight, but there was that one spell where he slowed down, and the acceleration, and we need some players like that still as well in our squad. So.
Listen, Harry, it's been great talking to you. I'm finding it difficult to defend Timo Werner. He does try hard, and we need the body at the moment, so there's no point getting rid of him. Yeah. But he is, I think, for me, an example of where Spurs have really rested on their laurels a little bit in the transfer market and should have gone 100%. A bit harder. But Harry, mate, thanks so much. And you can find Harry at Spurs Direct on IG on Instagram. That's right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, if I follow, it'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Oh, man, thanks. Have a good night. Cheers, Harry.